Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data, and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I am so excited to talk to my friend, actress of screen, television, so many things, Jaime King, mostly white chicks. That's like the only movie I've really done. But no, I was so excited that you could come on today. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I love you.
We've been seeing each other at like Kathy Hilton parties.
Yes.
And I kept saying, okay, you got to come on. And yes, I was just like, I forgot how many movies you have done. Let's just start from the beginning. Where did you, when did you start getting in the business? How old were you when you first started working in it?
Well, in the film industry, I did my first movie when I was 19. And previously to that, I was in fashion. And I always knew that I wanted to be a filmmaker. So, and also to learn everything that I could about the art form, which meant that I had to get out of Nebraska. So I left home.
So you were raised in Nebraska?
Yes.
And so were you modeling first?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Were you like discovered, or if in Nebraska you knew how to get an agent?
Well, I read it in the local newspaper that if you got an agent or went to a modeling school, then fancy people from other places would come to you. And I was always starving, very, very hungry for information. And I felt like I was just not getting that information that I wanted as an artist in Omaha at that time.
So you were just living like a normal Nebraskan life, going to high school, but you just had a desire to do this. And
Always,
so,
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Always.
And so when you just told your parents, like, I'm going to be a movie star, and they're like, what was the reaction?
I don't think my parents ever quite knew what to do other than the fact that I was so determined to do something. You know what I mean? And so I figured that the best way to learn and gather information that I wanted to learn was to go through the route of, okay, please save money for me so I can go to modeling school. Then I get to meet people from other cities. Then it was like very pre-planned out.
So you actually went to a modeling school and it wasn't a scam?
No, it was not a scam at all. I was 12 and they were sending me straight to Miami, with Elite, and then to New York. And yeah, at 13.
Oh, okay. So then is that when you're like going to a traditional school stopped? Or were you still able to go to school?
I was going to a traditional school. Then I was supposed to go to a gifted school, but I did not want to do that. And so I went over this summer with my mom and then went to go back to school shopping kind of thing. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. And then my agent called and was like, listen, your kid can either be doing this and doing correspondence courses, or she can just sit in Nebraska and be completely depressed. He didn't say that, but that inside of me, I'd be like, oh God. Yeah.
And so when you were that young doing like high fashion stuff, did you have a chaperone, or did your mom have to did you have other siblings that she had to leave to be with you, or how did that work?
My mom would come to as much as she could, but I have other siblings, so she had to do that. And so they would put me with chaperones that were not really, in my opinion, chaperones. I have a lot to say about the industry, not just negative things, because I love it very much. I got to learn from literally the best of the best designers, artists, people. I would never have changed it. However, as I got older, I really wanted laws to be implemented, after I left the fashion industry, because there were no laws to protect minors. But long story short, which they now do have, thank God. By the time I turned 18, I had saved all the money that I needed. I quit at the height of my career, and everyone thought I was loco.
As a fashion model, you mean?
Yeah, loco. They're like, what are you doing?
So you had big campaigns,
I was a
magazine
supermodel.
covers.
Yeah.
And, just going back a minute about for children working, when they did make the laws in American history that the kids couldn't be working at factories and there were child labor laws, truly the only business a child can work in is the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
It's the only one that's legal. They
Yep.
cannot be making clothes. They cannot be, you know, picking strawberries or working in a field or working in a factory. Or even working at a yogurt shop or whatever until they are of a certain age, except for entertainment.
Yes. Yes.
Where they're just around adults and where there's all this pressure that it doesn't matter. I think, like, you know, if you've got the teacher and you have the proper hours, it's still this weird thing that, like, if you're Miley Cyrus, like, you're Hannah Montana, if you don't want to come to work, they're like, oh, I guess 200 people are out of work today.
I
like,
mean,
who says that to a kid? You know what I mean?
they
Like,
do.
I know.
Our industry does. Our industry does. Even if you're an adult, it's the same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And so when you were modeling, were there times that just was too much for you at a young age of just that kind of pressure?
Yes, I think so, for sure. I mean, I guess I had a different way. I learned how to cope with it because at that age, your brain's not even fully developed. So I wanted to learn how to be as responsible as possible, though I longed to be close to my family, though knowing if I would go back and be close to my family, I would be longing for something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like one of the youngest kids around the supermodels that I wanted to be.
So were you like traveling to Europe and all
Yes.
these places
Yeah. So
and like doing like a fashion week? What is that even like? What is, because you see now like everyone go to fashion week and all that. And I'm like, I feel like it's very different today than it was 20 years ago when it
in
was
the
like
90s in fashion, it was bonkers.
Yeah, and when it was really
like
the
high-
supermodels. and-
glamour, supermodels, you know, just it was exquisite. And also, you know, it was a lot of work, but a lot of like just extraordinary beauty. So it would be, you go from New York to London, London to Milan, Milan to Paris, for a week at a time. And during that time, it's different than now. Like then it was like basically the same crew of people, you know, so we were all on this journey together per se. And then so that would be twice a year for Pret-a-Porter, and then couture as well. So like you're spending your whole life like on, you know, obviously traveling, and that's not including shoots, but some of the most magical times I had was that. I mean, talk about life lessons.
And were there young girls that would get with like the older guy that had a new model every year? Like I always feel like there's always that like older, like famous photographer that then falls in love with the young, impressionable model. Like, did you see relationships like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with someone that was basically my age.
And who was that?
Davide Sorrenti.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you guys dating together?
We were dating until he passed away.
Oh.
But his brother, he passed from a disease called thalassemia, sickle cell.
Oh.
And what was beautiful about that is that we got to go through this industry together and document it all. So we were like street kids, skaters, loved music, and suddenly we're propelled into this high fashion world, you know, coming from really nothing to suddenly making extraordinary amounts of money. And his brother, Mario Sorrenti, was already like a huge, and still is, photographer. And I met Davide when I had just turned 14 on one of my first campaigns, which was for Benetton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so that was like your first boyfriend.
Yeah.
And now, how did you handle managing these big paychecks and money where you weren't taken advantage of? And how did you do that? Or
Well,
were
I
you?
never knew.
Yeah.
I couldn't write a check until I was 18.
So what would you do? Just pass it on to your...
So the money goes essentially into a bank,
Okay.
but you can't even access it necessarily. You have a business manager that can access it, and then they do all of the business management for you. And so it's a very, I'll never forget going into the bank after I turned 18 and wanting to cry because no one taught me how to fill out a check. Like I didn't even know how to
Yeah.
do that thing, you know, but yet I was responsible. Like I had all of this money, like a lot of money, like crazy money. And, you know, it was just, that's a trippy thing to think about, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't have a bank account until 18 at that time.
And so were you like, what were you doing with all the money? Were you just saving it? Were you sending it to your family or what?
I was saving it. I would save it. I saved it. I would send it to my family in terms of like my sister, like whatever she needed for college, or like, you know, just, you know, whatever my family needed. Absolutely. But it wasn't asked of me like that. You know what I mean? My family didn't ask that of me. It'd be more like, oh, my sister's in Colorado and, you know, she just started school and I really want her to have like a car that fits for Colorado. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, nice. Okay, so then you said at 18 you wanted to stop the modeling because you had a desire to act, or what was it?
I always wanted to be a filmmaker. But by the time I turned 18, I knew that I had saved the amount of money that I wanted. And honestly, I just wasn't learning anything anymore. I got to learn from the best people, literally the greatest designers, the greatest people. And when I'm not feeling like I'm still learning, if I feel like I've gone to excellence in that area or mastered that area, it's like, okay, now is the time. And so a writer reached out. His name is Daniel Waters. And it was so crazy because he's one of my favorites. He wrote a film called Heathers that I loved so much growing up.
I love that.
So he wrote that and saw my picture in a magazine and wrote a film called Happy Campers, which is basically like a modern retelling of A Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Uh-huh.
And so he wrote a part for me, and so I kept flying out here to audition. It was like Mike DeLuca, Denise Denovi were producing, and I got the part. It was such a fun thing. It was Justin Long, Peter Stormare, Brad Renfro. I mean, like the cast was insane.
And so was that like really the first time did you work with an acting teacher? I mean, was it hard for you, or was it just a natural thing? Did you know how to properly audition for like an acting role at that point?
No, I didn't have an acting teacher at that time.
And so it was
because
not scary
you know
for
what
you?
you know what it's like, Heather. It's like when you don't know that you have something to lose.
Yeah,
you're so much freer in it. It's
Well,
so
that's
much
so true,
easier
yeah.
to tell the truth in the moment, just being the character and being yourself, because you don't have this like thing about like, oh, if you fuck up, you know, like,
Right.
you know, like you just and you're in trouble. Like I didn't have any of that. It was meant to be, and I was disciplined about it, you know.
So you loved being on set and doing that movie.
But the first day, I was like, the director called action, and I looked at Justin, and I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And he's like, you act. Now you act. And I was like, okay. Like there's, the basic terminology. Like, obviously, I've heard action my whole life, but it was
Right.
like, I kind of froze, and I was like, and I was just so caught up in the movie magic of it. It was just so cool.
Yeah. And that felt a lot different than when you were just like wearing the clothes, doing the photo shoots, having the music and the wind blowing your hair. Like, was that what it was like when you were just modeling? Because I always just think, whenever I think of that, like growing up, I was always like, oh my God, like I would be so amazing to be a model. And then like when I would have to do a photo shoot just for myself for stuff, I was like, I can't wait for this to be over.
Yeah.
This is so much less fun. And I used to just think, oh, for someone to do my hair and makeup and like, you know, and have the fan go. But it actually is not that fun.
I don't think everybody's meant for it, because Christina Ricci was telling me, like, she's like, it's so much easier for me to just be in character. She was feeling nervous about going to a photo shoot that day. And she's like, I just don't want to be myself. I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? It's so much harder to do that thing. I mean, with modeling or in fashion shoots, you still can, because it is a collaborative effort, you can still get into that zone, and you're just like, oh, this is dope. Like, this is amazing, you know? Like,
Yeah.
because you can create a character. But I don't know if I'd feel the same way if it was flip-flopped, you know?
Yeah.
But that need for artistic expression and collaboration went way farther. You know, that's why I always knew, you know.
So then once you did that, then you were on the roll. Like then were people putting you up for parts, and then Was the next big thing that you did, was that the Pearl Harbor?
It was Blow, then Pearl Harbor.
And did you love doing that?
Oh my God, it was amazing.
When it comes to makeup, oftentimes we complain that like, ugh, I don't want that makeupy look. It feels heavy. I don't feel natural, but I do want some coverage. And that's why I love Jones Road Beauty. Jones Road Beauty is a minimalist makeup brand founded by makeup artist Bobby Brown that creates versatile and easy to use products that simplify your routine. Clean makeup that actually performs. I absolutely love their bestseller, which is the Miracle Balm. This is the ultimate makeup skincare hybrid product that gives you that natural glow. So it's truly a multitasker because it can be used as a tint, a blush, a bronzer, a highlight. It can be worn on the lips. It could be the only thing that you can need on your face when you want to just look natural and glowy and healthy. And when I wear it, like when I just have it on to do like pickleball or errands, whatever, people are like, oh my gosh, your skin looks so good. Did you just get a facial? And I'm like, no, it's Jones Road Beauty. Modern day makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional for effortless routines. For a limited time, our Juicy Scoopers are getting a free cool gloss on their first purchase when they use code JuicyScoop at checkout. Just head to jonesroadbeauty.com and use code JuicyScoop at checkout. After your purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support Juicy Scoop and tell them I sent you. Did you love doing like a period piece?
It was extraordinary. It was so,
Yeah.
Every day we looked so beautiful because it was like the way they set. It was all
Yes.
true to that time.
So they would set your hair like the way
And
they
you'd
did in the
sit
olden
there for
days?
5 hours, and I'd be like, you know what? It's worth it because when I go on that screen and when I walk off this set, I'm just gonna look amazing, amazing. It was so great. I didn't understand really what the big deal was when I got cast in it because I didn't know who those people were.
Uh-huh.
And that's another thing, a great thing about, going into rooms where it's not this crazy, intense, like, oh, I'm walking in front of Michael Bay or Jerry
Yeah.
Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And so in that time, kind of ignorance was bliss because I could just be present, like fully present. And when I auditioned, I auditioned for the role that Kate Beckinsale plays, but I was too young for it. And so I was very lucky because they wanted me to still do it. And so I got to write that part with Michael Bay because originally it was like one line, and so they made it work. And they're like, this is the biggest budget movie of all time. I was like, fantastic. I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I got there. It's like, like so extravagant and so on purpose though at the same time that I was like, this is awesome. I love making movies. It's like houses like by the beach. Everyone brought their boyfriends or girlfriends in. You know what I mean? It was like, Gwyneth was there with Ben and da-da-da-da-da-da. Giselle was there with Josh Hartnett. It was like we were having the time of our lives, working our asses off, but having the time of our lives. And I was like, this is amazing. And then I went to the next movie, which was amazing. But I was like, oh, that's what they meant by that. Like
by the budget difference.
by the budget difference. There's
Yeah.
not like, actual planes, like 50 million planes and strafing lines and shots that are like, $250,000 a shot. You know what I mean? It was like, it was extraordinary.
Yeah. And also you have that classic look too. Like you have that, like you do look like you could have come out of like the 1940s. So I think that's probably the appeal too of choosing you for the role.
Oh, thank
You know how
you.
there's just certain like
Yeah.
classic looking people like, oh, you look like you come from a different era. Okay, so let's get into now White Chicks because this was obviously a big comedy. Had you done much comedy before they called you for this role?
I'd done a couple of films that were comedy, but I love comedy so much. And I was like, you know what? I set the intention inside myself. I was like, I want to work and learn from the best of the best of the best of the best. And to me, they are the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. And so I went into the audition and I auditioned. And also Lisa Beach is just a genius casting director.
Yeah.
I went into the audition and I auditioned for the role that Jennifer Carpenter.
Oh, for
does.
one of the girlfriends.
Yeah,
Yes,
where she's like, I'm so fat.
That's the part I wrote.
no way.
So that part, which was that is based on my friend Stacy, who is my sorority sister. We're still friends today. is when we would like be getting dressed, she would be like, look at this, like, oh, hello. And she'd like take like a little squirt of fat, the way we all are awful, right? And being like, I'm back fat Betty, I'm da da da. And so then when I was working on the film and, we decided, he's like, yeah, you know what? We should have a scene where they're trying on clothes, because his sister had come into Keenan's house where they were working on the movie. We were writing the movie. And I was just a contributing writer. It was like they already had sold a show and everything. And I was working on another movie. And I saw, as I was waiting for them to come work on this other movie that we were writing, I saw like the whatever, it wasn't Deadline at the time, but it was whatever actual printed about this movie that they called White Chicks, and how it was like based on Paris and Nikki and like this whole thing in the Hamptons. And I was like, well, when you guys are ready to write this one, can I help write this one? Because I am a white chick. Like, I think you should have one on the staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then anyway, she came in and I had these pants on, and she was like, oh, are those the Mark Wong Narc pants or something? And I'm like, oh yeah, I get them at that store on Third Street. And I go, isn't that girl? I go, that girl's always there to help, but she's kind of annoying. And we talked about how like someone keeps coming in and you're like, I got it. Like, just like, give me a minute. And so then he goes, oh my gosh, we have to have a scene where they try on clothes.
Yes.
And then you go off and write it. And so then I wrote those parts, and then they were nice enough to be like, okay, we were able to get you to come to Canada to play the part of the salesgirl. But when in doing the parts, so they wanted you to be one of the friends, the three friends of the fake Wilson sisters first, because you were one of the real Wilson sisters. So you went out for that part first, and then they thought you were a better match. Or what happened?
I went in and I did that, and I went like way over the top in the best way. And so they're like, hold on. We sit outside, we want to talk for a sec. And then they asked me to come back in and improv for
the girls,
girls.
the real girls. And you guys were like really so perfect. You and Brittany, you look like you could be sisters and friends and all that. And I remember when I was there filming, and it was fun to like hang out with you guys. And I remember you guys did the dance, and Keenan goes, it's too good.
Yes.
He's like, this isn't funny. You guys are too good. And you guys had spent like a week doing like working out this whole routine.
I didn't know that anybody knew that.
Yeah. No, I remember I was like there when he's like, it's too good. He's like, it has to be like not good. It has to be like corny.
Yeah.
And so that's when it had you guys like frustrated and being like doing those dorky moves. And that was
remember he's like, what are the widest moves you can do?
Yeah.
And we're like, the Running Man, like the sprinkler.
Right. Yeah.
But because we all had rhythm, he was like,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
It was so fun.
Yeah. You guys could all like dance really well. And so that was really funny how then that came back about. But that was fun. That was like, because I got to go twice. I went once in the beginning to just like work on like the final bits of the writing, and then I came back to do my scene. And and who would have thought like that it just like lives in infamy, and like people all the time are like,
now
oh my
more
God.
than ever.
Yeah,
now more than ever. When it's like, I'm like, whoa, this was not just ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It's like the social commentary of it is bonkers.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I think that like, and I remember like how some jokes were written, like, so they'd have like always some other younger writers, whether they were nephews or whatever, come in, and I can't remember who this was, but like he was like, okay, pitch your jokes, and this one guy goes, oh, you know the saying, once you go black, you never go back. So then this one of you goes, so I thought, once you go black, you end up in a wheelchair. And he goes, and then I just thought it'd be funny if a white girl came by in a wheelchair and was like, hi.
Yes.
Hi. And like, that's just like how those jokes would come about. Like,
yes.
And we were all like dying laughing.
So fun.
And then
there's
just
so much improv.
Yeah,
too.
just a little like subtle, funny. Oh yeah, tons of improv with you guys.
But which started from the seeds of every idea that you guys did. It was just like more like, okay, getting pushed to go further with it.
Yeah.
It's just everyone was so amazing on that.
And just what was it like to just like play such a rich bitch?
I had to approach it like I wasn't a bitch.
Yeah. And
It's
what's
just that we were right, and they were really mean.
and being that it was really based on Paris and Nikki, because at the time they were in, Page Six, and I'll think about these two girls that were dancing on tables in the Hamptons, and that's kind of where they got the idea. And then they wanted to do, and then it was actually Sean's idea that they would be two, black guys that pretend to be white women, and then they were like, well, let's do it. Then I don't know how the FBI crime happened, but I thought that was the most brilliant part.
Yeah, I agree.
And then put it in this world. And then what was really cool is Keenan was like, okay, we're going to watch every movie that was ever in the history of movie making where men had to pretend to be women for a reason.
Yes.
So it was like we watched, Some Like It Hot all the way back to
Yes.
like Tootsie.
Yes.
And so then I remember Keenan being like, there has to be a scene where they almost get caught.
Yep.
So like then we had Sean almost get caught,
Yes,
and like
yeah, I
hide
love
the
that
thing.
scene. I love that
All
scene.
those kinds of things that I was like, oh, and that's kind of when I realized like, even though this was such an innovative movie, there is a formula to like writing a movie.
Absolutely.
And how genius it is to like look and kind of figure out like, oh, we need that. We need,
Yes.
we need like the opening scene being that they established that they really are FBI agents.
Yeah.
And, this was the crime and how funny that was and that they can do different characters. And,
And structure.
Yeah.
Structure and story, like that's, and Keenan's so brilliant at that. I remember in one of the rehearsals, it was really like a sit down with him and the girls, and he was like, gave a sheet of paper, like a worksheet about, what is your history, da 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 da, like
Of your character.
yeah, and I was like silently like, I already did this. Because I already done that like deep dive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was proud that I had already done that work, not knowing that he would even suggest to bring up that work because
Right.
it's not something you
To
usually talk
create
about.
a whole backstory
A whole
for yourself.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. A playlist. Like, how do you merge yourself with this character? And I just, like, he really taught me that you treat comedy the same way that you do with drama. There's no difference. And the one thing he said that will always stick with me, he said, there's no room for vanity in comedy. And that I was like, because you got to make a mess.
Yeah.
There's no room for vanity in it. You got to be willing to get messy,
I also remember, when he was like, well, maybe the character, who was what was the character's name that did the Betty? I know the actress, but I don't know.
What was her character name?
I don't know. But that girl that did that, I remember he was like, wait a minute, she's going shopping and she is wearing a skimpy outfit.
Yeah.
So then why would she not want to get into another skimpy outfit and feel fat? And I remember being like, because we're psycho. Like, I don't I'm like, that's
Because
that's a normal thing.
It's so easy to have body dysmorphia,
Yeah.
and in 2 seconds and under the wrong lighting in a dressing room,
yeah,
you
that
start to
all
go.
all of a sudden it doesn't fit,
Yep.
and then, the fact that I loved Busy Phillips too, and I loved how, Busy Phillips, how her character, everything going on with her character, and even her, like they had to pick the wardrobe that actually wasn't flattering.
Yeah.
And it would have been very easy to put her in a more flattering outfit, but
Yeah.
because she wasn't big, but she had to look like a little curvier than the other girls to
Yes.
make that thing.
I
which
think so. Yeah.
So it was so fun, and okay, so that was like a really fun thing for you to do. Okay, so
And also, I will say, before doing it, I was like, I don't want this to be portrayed as, because Nikki and Paris have been my friends since we were teenagers.
So you knew them before you even went out on the movie.
Absolutely.
And were you thinking that it would be possibly?
I called because I was like, I don't want to.
Do something
I never
negative.
wanted. No way. Those are my sisters.
Now, how did you guys
Those
meet?
are my ride or dies, forever. We met in New York, and I think I must have been 17 years old. It was right when JetBlue came out, and so they flew us to Miami.
Uh-huh.
and we all went together, and we've just been extremely close through everything since. They're two of the most brilliant artists, businesswomen, mothers, friends. I really crave and love family and family units, and they're my family. And so going to do that film, I couldn't in my head base it off of either of them
Right.
at all, because that's not what I knew of them.
Yeah, they're not like that anyway.
So I was
Yeah.
just playing I was just playing the character that came forward of what I know about people that act like that.
Right.
You know, but I didn't base it off of them at all.
It really wasn't. It was just I think it was just the springboard of that.
Yeah.
Of that, like rich girls in the Hamptons that would have a father that, you know, might find himself in this situation and that type of thing. And then from the perspective of a black male, not like, I remember, so Sean was like, we got to go out with your friends. We want to go out one night with your friends. So I was like, okay, so we meet at Mr. Chow's. It was like Sean, a couple of the other writers that I was friends with. And then we went to this like nightclub that I wanted.
What one?
I want to say, I don't know that it was called the Gate or whatever. It was on La Cienega, but I feel like you went, like there was
Is a
parking
white,
lot.
like typically white leaning club?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like kind of, yeah, whatever, a mix. And so that's when the Beyonce song actually came on. And we were so excited to dance to that. And Sean just stood back and he was like, that's when he was like, I don't care how much it's going to cost to get this song. We have to have that song for this scene because the girls, the entire club, all the girls went crazy.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think we had the freaking rights to the song when we did that scene
Oh, really?
or when we were reharsing. Unless I'm tripping.
I
I knew that they were like, no matter what, we're going to get it. I don't know if
Yeah.
they actually had them yet.
Yeah. But he was like, and then I remember when making our way downtown, and I go, how
That
did
was
you
so
guys come up with
perfect.
that song? And they're like, we just feel like that is such a white girl anthem. And I'm like, it is. Yeah. And so it's really
so
fun,
good.
like,
Everyone's so good in that.
yeah. And so then that was crazy, like that we, you know, that he just was he was like, Sean was really like, it was really his whole idea was this movie, like his brainchild. And then, but then everyone would say, why isn't there another? And all I could remember is that they were writing, producing, and they were the stars. I don't even think they slept 2 hours a day.
No,
they couldn't.
They were exercising, eating a vegan diet. I remember like the
Yeah, they
highlight
had
of the
to be-
day was those little cups of those little
because they had to be so much smaller.
vegan chocolate
Yeah.
chip. Like they're like M&Ms, but they're not. They're like the kind you get at like a co-op.
Yeah.
And
A co-op. Yeah.
the amount of hair and makeup and the writing and the producing.
I just remember
and
him,
the
like,
exercise.
I just remember like Sean Mullen literally just sitting there as they like finished the hands, and that's like when they were getting their sleep
Yep, literally.
in the chair. So
Yep.
then when recently when there's been some talk that it's gonna happen, I don't know if it'll happen. Of course, I reached out and was like, I don't care what element, even if it's just like a one-day consultant. I have so many ideas of what a great like storyline would be, or at least something to do with. I just have to do something with it. And now I kind of wonder if in this world of like AI, if they could still do something like that, but not actually have to like get in a mask. You know what I mean? Like, you know how
Yeah.
they did with like the Irishman?
Yeah.
And how they could, or how now they can just like, I was just at a taping of Leanne Morgan's show, and they said, okay, you're going to see a scene we already filmed, and it's Leanne and her husband on their first date, and it's through the magic of like AI. It was them doing the scene, and then they were able to like in post. They didn't have to
Face
get
map.
they didn't have to put another actress in Leanne's part. Like it could just still be Leanne, but they made her look like she was, you know, like a normal, you know, 25-year-old girl. But it was her.
It's
crazy.
It's so bonkers.
So I
to
wonder if
me.
they could do that. That'd
I
be nice
mean,
if they could. If it would still be as
think,
funny.
I think it's different when you're actually in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Right.
that's what leads to, at least for me, when I put the clothes on, when I put the makeup on, when I, you know, it's part of becoming the character.
Yeah.
You know, and the AI stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't. I'm not.
No, I just had someone do my voice. They took my voice.
It's not a
and
vibe
they-
for me.
And they
Sorry.
put it on someone else's. They put it on like an older woman podcaster that looked smarter than me with glasses, talking about some product, but it was my voice, and like
But
10
that
people
is
sent it to me.
Illegal. That is
Right.
wrong. And
Yeah.
so
No, I know, and it's a hard fight. It's like, but and part of me was sort of flattered because I see they do it to like, other podcasters like Mel Robbins and Joe Rogan. So I was like, I guess I've kind of made it. Whatever.
Yeah, you have.
If this voice sounds like an authoritative voice somehow that you chose to steal it. But one more question about that. So when the movie came out, did Paris and Nikki like love it? Did they think it was funny? Like, where did they realize that they were somewhat of the inspiration?
I don't know if they did because I didn't aim for that like angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna ask them that because I haven't.
I would
even
guess
thought to
they
ask.
loved it.
I think everyone loves this movie.
Yeah.
There's no one I've ever met that doesn't love this movie.
Right.
It's literally one of the, and again, I would say now more than ever, it's like, it's crazy.
I know. I love that. You know what a big part of it is, though? Like, so in raising my sons, and I've said this before, there is like a real lack of comedies for teenage boys to enjoy.
Yes.
They have to watch they like old school. Step Brothers
Yep.
is like every 20-year-old's favorite
Yes.
movie.
Yes.
And that was like 15 years ago. Like
Yes.
there's nothing new that comes out that's kind of like that. And even with White Chicks, he was like, it's not going to be R, it's going to be PG-13 because it would be a broader audience.
Yes.
So in like choosing the jokes, we had to make sure we never entered towards the R because he knew at that time that was a big price difference of how much a movie could make.
Absolutely.
And but yeah, I think that's really where filmmaking, they need to tap into that
We're missing
humor.
that. We're missing that now.
Yeah, for sure. They
There's
have to
not really any great comedies coming out.
no, they have to watch all the old Will Ferrell,
Yes.
Vince Vaughn type of
Yes.
stuff, and that's why they just like watch it over and over again, and they love it because there isn't anything else that like speaks to them. That's why I say if someone can write something like that, I'm like that's where the money should be, is writing those kind of comedies that like where these boys feel they can relate.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to get into. I mean, you've done so many movies and so many things, and of course, I interviewed Sherry Papini, and you play her in a movie that came out not too long ago. After it was, after she was convicted, they wrote
Yes.
this movie. And did they come right to you and offer it to you?
It was really strange because I saw a cover of People magazine and I was like, who is this person? What's going on here? Like something was up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, why do I feel like they're not telling the whole story here? And I read the
When
article.
she first was missing, or when she first came back. Yeah.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
So I called my manager and I was like, I really want to option this story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's something here. Something's amiss. Either her real story is not being told, or something else is not being told, but something's up here. Cut to literally the next day, I get the offer for Sherry Papini. The next day.
And was this when they
And,
already...
and I'd never read anything about it. I read it.
you weren't following it?
No, the day that I read the article, I called my manager. The next day I get the offer. And I was not following it at all.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Do you feel like you have a lot of that stuff that happened in your life where you're kind of
Yes.
like sometimes even inadvertently manifesting something?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, a lot. Where I look back and a lot of things that I've said and done as a young, like even as a kid, like where I'd say, oh, I'd like this to be, I imagine myself writing a book and my child interrupting me but writing from the house. And then when I was writing my first book, like that exact same thing, stuff like that happened. And I didn't necessarily put it on the board that I bought at Michael's, and like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Or in Sherry Papini's Hobby Lobby, whatever
Right.
crap
Oh,
she's
God.
into. But I would definitely like say it. And then there were times where I would do like where I look back and I would do almost like an anti-manifestation where I remember like at the Groundlings, which was this theater I was part of. The first day I walked in, there was the 30 main company, and then there was like the 18 that performed only on Sundays, so like an A and B company. And I remember I went right and I go, oh, I'll make the B company, but I probably won't make the A, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So like I think sometimes you can do it to
Both
the
ways,
negative,
absolutely.
Yeah. Which all
because
works
energy
out, but
follows
still,
thought.
Yeah.
It follows thought. So when we're putting something out there, typically we'll probably go it depending on that direction, in that direction. I mean, I was looking through a journal, like a book of mine when I was 7 years old, 6 or 7, and I just wrote money on there, dollar bills, and I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to become a model and I'm going to make lots and lots of money. And it was just money, 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 money. And that's what happened. And then on to the next, on to the next.
Did you know, obviously you were a beautiful child. Did you know that one of your gifts was in fact, being exquisite looking? Like when do you realize that as a child that you have, that your talent is, part of your talent is your outside appearance?
I didn't grow up in a typical way in terms of being accepted for the way that I looked at all. I was not like the cool kid. I got my ass kicked all the time in school. Couldn't stand it. I was always humiliated. It was really like I was just different. I looked a particular way but didn't fit somehow into the way that kids wanted me to fit. I was too eccentric, or maybe didn't have enough money to buy all the fancy things or whatever, and the way I would dress was very eclectic, and I just couldn't fit. And it was really upsetting, and kids can be really mean.
Oh yeah.
And so I knew in my heart that I was beautiful, but I didn't know how that would fit in. I'm also autistic, so it's like I have a lot of other things that I focus on other than...
You're autistic?
Yeah.
And when did they find that out?
Oh, I found out my late 20s.
And how did that come about?
It came about through getting tested, because I realized that by having ADHD, then there was a possibility that the other thing would be the case. And I was getting my master's in spiritual science and psychology. And I just started to really understand more of like, oh, that's that thing in me that's kind of different than other people, like it's just the way that my brain processes, and the way that I relate or connect to the world is very, it's not like normal per se.
Yeah.
But that's also like
the genius
gift.
side too.
It's a gift.
Yeah. So so let's get back to the Sherry Papini. Okay, so how soon after they offer you the part? Do they offer you the part without handing you the script, or?
Oh, they offered it to me, so it was, as offer letter, offer script, materials attached.
No, I never get offered anything. No, I don't get offered that. If I go out for anything, I have to go out for it or write it myself. But okay, so then in doing it, when I interviewed Sherry, so just to catch people up, if you haven't heard this interview I did a few months ago, and Sherry Papini, after it was found out that she did know her captor and she was convicted for lying to the police and the government about what really happened, she has come out of jail, and now she has said that the story was that, yes, she knew her captor, but no, she didn't choose to stay confined to this room all this time. And
I don't even know what she's saying.
So she's saying, to just fill people in a nutshell, she's saying she knew this guy, and she knew him from her past, and they started a little like correspondence or whatever. She was in a very unhappy marriage with her husband.
Yeah.
And in the past, she had done phone flirting with other people that he discovered. So he then became more controlling of it.
Oh, okay.
And it almost made her want to, I think, seek that attention from wherever. So this was like an old boyfriend. Someone in his family died. She reached out and started talking to him. And then she says he was like, I'm coming to see you today. And she was like, oh, fuck. Like maybe I flirted too hard, because now I don't want him to be here.
Yeah.
So she goes out to meet him to just basically be like, you got to go, I can't see you. And then she says, I don't remember anything more. So she's like, because I go, so you don't remember going willingly with him or unwillingly, or did you just get in the car to like placate him and then he just drove the 9 hours? And she's like, I just don't know. I just know that I think I was drugged. I was like, woke up at once we got to the house in Costa Mesa. And then, so there's a lot of where she says in the documentary, which then that's kind of what I was basing my interview. She basically says then she was there and then she was held against her will, and the abuse that took place, like as far as the bruises and things, were part of sexual S&M that he insisted that she do, and it was against her will.
Like BDSM, and she's like a sub, and he's like a dom or something?
Yeah. And so then I was like, so what? So then one of the cover art of your movie is you have the bandage on your nose, which she had when she then was finally released and went home, and said there was these 2 Mexican women that kidnapped her, and lied about that for like 4 years until they finally like got him to tell whatever they wanted him to tell. She says that he was like, it sounds like she believes he was sort of coerced into saying that they were in on it together in order to like save himself from going to prison. And so it's like with watching it and interviewing her and everything else. I mean, obviously when she was sitting across from me, I was being very nice.
Was it weird to look? I think maybe it'd be really weird for me to, after having to study her.
So she talked about you, and she said she's lovely, and she read some interview where you said, you know, I'm going to do the best I can. This is a sensitive subject. I can't imagine what this person really has gone through. So I'm just going to play the role of how it's written or whatever. And she thought that was like very respectful. And I think it's interesting because it's like when I first heard about it and that it wasn't true, faked her own kidnapping per se, I thought a couple things. I thought either, that she is kind of fame hungry. But then I'm like, but then she kept such a low profile after she came back. She wasn't like trying to do things to be in the limelight. So I think really what it was is I think that she, was fucked up and flirting with these guys. I think that she wanted her husband to like worry and miss about her. I think he wanted the husband to miss her. And then once she got there, then I think he was like kind of dumb. And he was like, oh, what the fuck? Now I'm a fucking kidnapper. It's all over the news.
Yeah.
No, like you're not leaving.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think happened. I think she willingly went.
Yes.
Didn't think it would blow up that much.
Yeah.
Then realized, what the fuck am I doing? I'm in this like little weird house in Costa Mesa. I want to be back with my family, but oh fuck, now what?
Yep.
That's what I think happened. And then, so I think in some ways she was kind of kept, maybe not everything she was willing to do. I mean, the fact that she lost so much weight makes me think that it wasn't totally her doing. The branding thing is weird, which I know there was a scene in the movie of that.
All of this stuff is in the movie. And when I went to approach the play, I was like, okay, I'm going to, like with any acting, do it as honestly as possible.
Yeah.
Because in the back of my head, again, I didn't know it was true or not true.
Right.
So I wanted to approach it as if I was her and her truth. It's actually, you've got to see the movie. It's really good.
Yeah, no, I really do want to see it because, I mean, I should have seen it before you came today. But, like, no, I will definitely see this. I know it was on Lifetime, so we could probably find it on Hulu or something.
Yeah.
But
we did the branding. We did.
And the branding was, in the movie, it was that she's telling him to do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because that is what he tells the officers. But always with that, I was like, okay, even with someone who has an extremely low IQ, like, you wouldn't say, wait, I don't want to hit you. I don't want to hurt you. Like, this isn't, why am I, like, it was weird that they just let him off the hook completely. So I do feel like they set up their case to make her the lying villain. And
Well, yeah, because she has a vagina.
Yeah, and they said, yeah.
All women apparently are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's weird when I look back at cases, because now I'm doing like another series, Juicy Crimes, and it's just so interesting, how there have been cases throughout time where it's just like, just so out to get the woman, and it was the woman that made her lover kill her husband, and you're like, no, but wait, the lover is going to get out in 5 years who actually shot him, and the woman in the case of Sabrina Limon is going to have to spend the rest of her life in prison. And it's not even, I still think there's a lot of doubt that if she knew that he killed her husband or not. But I'm like, how is he going to get out?
Because that's just the way it's always been, though.
Yeah. So
honestly, that's the way it is. We are not heard or seen or have a right to a fair or just trial in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we don't even have rights to our own bodies. And that wasn't that long ago before that stopped. And look where we are now. It's like, I don't know what this witch hunt always is about. So, it's just pretty disturbing. It would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that everyone is innocent.
Right.
But it's like, I think the process is completely different.
I mean, it was a very interesting thing, like what they got her on, because it was like, because she actually like lied. It wasn't necessarily you faked a kidnapping. It was that you lied when we asked you about it, and that is a crime because it was like a federal case.
And wasn't it also because she utilized resources?
Yes, like as a victim, she'd act whatever $30,000 or something.
Yeah.
So yes, she did take advantage of that. So that she has to pay back. They're still paying all that back, and then she gets with this other guy. So she had a boyfriend. She's no longer with him. She gets with this other guy whose wife mysteriously died.
Wait.
Sherry Papini gets out of prison. She gets
I don't
a
even know
boyfriend.
what happened since she got out of prison.
She gets out of prison. She gets a boyfriend. And there's some articles like, oh my God, I can't believe these two are together. And this guy was like a nurse, and his wife that he had just asked for a divorce suddenly died of like, I don't know if it was COVID, but it was like pneumonia. It was something very fishy. And then he immediately went off to make sure she got buried or cremated or something. And there was a whole like Facebook group to, justice for this girl, and there's something fishy going on. And then they're like, and of course he's dating Sherry Papini. And then so when I interviewed her, they had since broken up and were actually in and out of court based on some, like a house that he promised her and she won't leave, and something financial.
I don't mean to laugh. I'm just like, it's like.
Yeah. And I said that, I go, do you think you have a problem with your picker? Like,
yeah,
you're saying that your ex-husband was horrible. You're saying that the boyfriend that you recontacted is the one that kidnapped you. And then you get out of prison and you meet a guy who people are pointing a finger at that he might have something to do with his wife's odd death. And now you've broken up with him.
What'd she say?
She's like, yes, I think I have a bad picker. Like she came and she's like a very cute girl. So she has this ability to like kind of bond with you like on a girlfriend basis.
Yeah,
and she was one of those girls that she is one of those people that does that thing where they like use your name all the time. But we just met. So she'd be like, Heather, if I was going to meet him. So one of the things she said was I was supposed to just meet him for lunch, and I was going to have a friend come. And I go, well, then your friend would be able to corroborate that story that there was a plan to meet for lunch. And she was like, no, I don't. But then we never did meet for lunch. That I thought I could placate him and meet him for lunch. But then I was like, no. And that's when I said, I can't see you at all. That's when I went for my run and then saw him at the edge of the street. And I don't remember anything else. And so then when I did the interview, she mentioned the restaurant, and then someone wrote me and said that restaurant's only open for dinner. And I go, well, maybe it was open for lunch back in 2017. Yeah. And I looked it up and it wasn't. And I was kind of like, And then the only other thing was she comes back and she had thick blonde hair. Like she has a good head of hair when I saw her. And it was like cut like a choppy bob. And I remember thinking when she first said these two Mexican women kidnapped her, and and people thought, oh, maybe they were taking her to be trafficked because she's blonde and she looks like she can be younger. And I remember thinking, well, why would they want to destroy her looks? If long blonde hair is an asset to traffic, so why would you cut their? So then when I said it, someone goes, did you look at the hair? It wasn't like shaved. It was just like a choppy bob. So then I was like, I think maybe, I go, well, now the guy wouldn't have cut the hair. That's not part of BDSM. So I'm like, so I did write her, and I go, I have one more question.
I mean, it could be. It depends on your kink. Maybe you wanted her hair for later or something.
Maybe.
Who knows?
But I don't know. She didn't write me back about who cut whose hair. I didn't know if maybe, because if you were to think that this was all her doing, she wasn't held against her will, maybe she cut her own hair just to add to like
a layer
the trauma of like, oh my God, and they cut my hair and they burned me with the Hobby Lobby thing. And but she did have like an answer for everything. And I always thought it was very weird that like that this guy was not, and I go, now don't you, when you were keeping this secret that this guy was so dangerous for 4 years because you were so afraid that your husband would get mad that you're with him, I'm like, weren't you concerned that this weirdo could do this to like another girlfriend?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, but like I didn't know what to do. So it's just, but I definitely need to see the movie because that's like an interesting, like, is that the first like real person that you've ever played?
No, I played real people before. I played a woman named Toni Jo Henry, who was one of the first women ever to be electrocuted in the United States of America.
What was that about?
And that was in the late 30s. It was Toni Jo was a young girl. She was sold to a brothel when she was about 7 years old by her stepmother, and so grew up in a brothel. Became addicted to heroin. Meets this love of her life. He comes in. He was a boxer. He gets her clean. They fall in love, get married, and go down to Texas. And then he gets arrested because basically he killed a cop in a different state, and the cops found him. And so he used to run with Bonnie and Clyde. And so then she makes a vow to get him out of prison, and then teams up with someone else, one of like not a good guy. John Hawkes plays that character. He's so amazing. And so Toni Jo asked him to teach her how to rob banks because she needs money to get her husband out. She's very determined about this. She doesn't believe in God, et cetera, et cetera. Things go awry. Someone gets shot, and that person that gets shot is very highly linked up in the state government. They put her, they charge her with the murder and give her the death sentence. And it's a really amazing movie. It's called The Pardon. The Pardon.
And so you play that role.
Yes.
And do you have a scene where they put you in the chair?
Yes, and it was actually like a real chair.
Was that just so freaky?
It was so freaky. And you know what else was really freaky? Is that I asked the financiers why they wanted to do this, like why it mattered so much to them, because it was a beautiful film. And they're like, there's just something about this film we just knew we had to do. And the financiers were lawyers and judges and came from a long lineage of lawyers and judges. And so we're filming in this office, and props needed more books from that time. And they're like, oh, perfect, because, my great-granddad has all that stuff downstairs. So they go downstairs and come back up, and they're white.
Whose house downstairs?
So we were in this office, but it was the family office that we were filming in, right? And that office had been it was the grandfathers, the great grandfathers of the financiers, producers, right?
Oh, okay. So he goes. We have some old books. Okay.
So he goes downstairs, to help, set deck, pick out books and stuff like that. Comes back upstairs white, and I'm like, what's up? And he was like nearly in tears. He was shook. he found in one of the drawers in the desk that he'd never gone into before because he never had any reason to, like a docket, and it had all the and then it said her name and all the signatures of the judges that had to sign to approve for her
To be electrocuted?
yeah. And his great granddad was the last signature on it.
That is so crazy. And he never knew
No,
that. And
he was
why doing the movie?
White. He was white. Because, again, props, set deck, all went down with them. And
Yeah.
they were all just rummaging around, you know, in this family office that no one
Wow.
ever
What
went
any-
to, except we just use it as a filming location. And so when it comes back to things like, there's some things that we need to make. And then the fact that I was like, oh, wow, that's a way to balance out that karma. You know what I mean?
Wow. And just that the way the universe works and that there was a strong tie that he didn't know that
Yeah.
was somehow drawing him to the story in the subconscious universe. Like
Yeah.
that is so interesting. Now, when you play certain parts, is it hard to go to bed while you're filming? Do you like dream? Are you a dreamer? Like what's that
Yes.
like?
I have very intense dreams. It's and I use a lot of my dreams for the character. So I'll do like a lot of, you know, dream study or Jungian theory. And so I'll set an intention before I go to sleep that anything that can be revealed about the character and how we can merge together or et cetera, et cetera. I write a letter and then I sign it and I go to sleep. And then when I wake up, I wait till I sit up and I just immediately journal down everything that I dreamt about. And this is something that I learned from the Actors Studio. That's a very sacred and really, really effective tool. And so then you go through all the dream and you figure out what's what, and then it informs how you connect to the character and also like literally how you connect. It's really extraordinary.
amazing.
Yeah.
So
But sometimes it's really hard to sleep because you're wired from the day.
yeah, that's
And
what I
then
would think.
You get like
Even when I do any kind of like performance or stand up or whatever, I cannot, it doesn't matter to get up in 3 hours. I always know that like I can't go right to bed.
No,
like,
no,
you
no,
can
no,
never
no.
go back. So you're
no
like,
way.
yeah, after you're like acting all day and then you're like only have a few hours in between.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
It really is.
So what, I know you have 2 young boys because I
Yes.
met them at the party. So you're like, you know, in that, what they're like in what, middle school? How old are they?
James and I just started middle school this year.
Okay.
And Leo Thames is in 5th.
Yeah, that's like a busy,
Yeah,
with
very
all
busy.
that back to school and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And you're recently engaged.
Yes.
And how did you guys meet?
We met through mutual friends.
So that's exciting.
It is exciting.
So it's like a whole new chapter of life. And what's the latest thing that you're working on?
I'm
Or hope
about
be
to
working on?
start a film called Bound for Glory that I'm really excited about. And I start that in October. And I do my press tour for Love Danielle, which is being released very soon. That's on Thursday.
What's that about?
It's a true story. Oh, that's another true character.
Yeah.
Devin Siddell and her sister Amy, and I play Emmy. It's about her sister and her journey of having BRCA gene and having to have a double mastectomy, all of her reproductive organs removed, even though she really wanted children. And this whole film was made on donations, which is extraordinary. And the reason why she found out is because her sister, who I play Amy in real life, had to do the same thing. She got really sick and almost died. And that's the reason why Devin went and got tested. And so it's an extraordinary act of like loving. And this film is super funny and poignant and very meaningful for me because I've been through the journey of cancer, as most of us have, with many friends and family members, and I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's like a more recent story. in history.
Yeah.
Because like we're just hearing about that in the last like decade or
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
That's really important.
And I have 3 other films coming out too.
And you worked with Steve Martin too.
Oh my God, yes, and Eugene Levy and Bonnie Hunt. All the Cheaper by the Dozen. It's like
The Cheaper
masters.
by the Dozen was such a great like movie. Wait, so what were you one of the kids or what? Were
Yeah,
you?
I play one of Eugene Levy's daughter.
And was it just so fun?
Oh my God, it's like Steve like playing the banjo every day. Like it was a master class in comedy because like seeing the way that Eugene worked, seeing the way that Steve worked, seeing the way that Bonnie worked, and we'd be doing these big set pieces, and everyone has their own approach, with comedy, and it was just like. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. We had so much fun.
That's so awesome. Now you also worked with Bruce Willis.
Yes,
And
multiple times.
And did you ever notice that maybe something was slipping at that time or not during those movies?
Not in the first movies, but I did one of his last movies with him. And I'm very close with his daughters and his family. And we did a film called Out of Death that came out in we did it in the pandemic, so that was November of 2020. So it came out like 2021. The experience that I had with him, I think was different because we've known each other for so long. And so when he would look at me and we would do our scenes, it was like he was locked in. It wasn't the same Bruce.
Yeah.
But there was something different. There was something different. It was when I say something different, I think that he knew my loving and I knew his loving. So my experience wasn't the same as the way maybe other people had experienced it.
Yeah, I mean it's also really beautiful when you see his family and his wife and when they do like a little update, and it's sadly something so many people can relate to.
Yeah.
Of just loving that person, knowing that they love you but they don't have the faculties that they once did. And
Yeah.
it's really amazing to see, and it's really, I'm sorry to make you emotional.
Oh, it's okay.
I mean, I can imagine. That's not what I didn't. We'll end up something fun. No, this was so great. I'm so glad that you have so many great projects. And I mean, have you won any awards or been nominated for your acting?
Yes, I have.
Oh, what have you won?
I won lots of different things.
I don't know. I didn't know because I'm just like, I mean, I feel like you've done so many things, and I'm like, I'm sure she's been up for stuff.
I'm a
and
weirdo when it comes to awards. I don't like talking about it. I think it's
yeah, because I mean,
I do it because I love it.
Yeah. Do you
Honestly, the awards, and I don't mean to sound cliche, but literally the rewards and the awards are, if I can make anyone feel less alone, like that's really what it's about. And when I get to be like with my crew and my cast and just tell the truth and entertain people, like that's it for me. Like that's everything.
I know, isn't that so great when someone says something like I've told this story before on my show, so for the people that have heard it, but it's like I remember Eddie Murphy was on a talk show. It was like a call-in thing.
Yeah.
And this is when I'm like 10. And I'm watching him, and this woman called in, and she said, "Oh, I just wanted to tell you, Eddie, if I ever had a chance to tell you this, this many years ago, my son, like, tragically died, like, horrible." And she said, "I will never laugh again." She told herself that. "I'm never going to laugh again." And she's like, and that night I turned on Saturday Night Live, and he was, like, his Gumby character or something. And she's like, and I laughed again. And I remember at, like, 10 years old, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to make somebody be able to laugh on their worst day or just escape.
Yes.
Or whatever. And I think when you're in this business and it really is because of something that genuine and not, oh, I want to have a big house and be on the cover of magazines and I just want to be famous and I want to, like, or whatever that. And there's nothing wrong with those people either, but the real people that do this do it for those actual reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool.
I don't know
like,
how
when you're
anybody
calling-
could even do it without, if it wasn't for like something so deep, because it takes so much.
Yeah.
There's so much that we go through and do, the perseverance and the vulnerability and the strength that it takes. It's like there's no time to really like I can't not do it,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, it's so great. I'm so glad that you got to come and just share with us like your incredible career so far. And I think there's so many awesome things in your future. And if there is a White Chicks 2, I hope that
we got to do it.
you have got to be in it as like, you know, this living on a penthouse on your third divorce lady, like, you know, some amazing funny character that you could be, that you just fit right in, and maybe, you know, dropping snarky remarks or something without realizing it, like something like that would be amazing. But
Oh my God.
anyway,
I love
tell
you,
tell everybody
sincerely.
you have a great Instagram, beautiful photos and everything, and a huge following. You're at 1.5 million people, so it's Jaime, Jaime, unique spelling from your mother, _King. Everybody follow her so you don't miss any of her upcoming projects and everything. Mother, filmmaker, activist, human, 100% founder. Oh, I love that. Oh, and then this is your production company,
Yes.
Hooligan Dreamers Production. What a great name.
Thank you.
I love that. That's so amazing. Have you ever directed anything?
I've directed multiple things, but I'm getting ready to direct my first feature film, which I'm very excited about.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's hard.
We produce a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Thank you.